Welcome to the History in Focus channel. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss more videos like this one. Isla Fisher played escapist Henley Reeves in Now You See Me, a character who shocked audiences by performing a dangerous magic trick. Chained inside a glass tank filled with water, the character had to escape quickly before a device released dozens of piranhas over her head. The scene was designed to be impressive, but the line between fiction and real danger became frighteningly thin during filming. While performing the sequence, a defect in Fisher's chains caused her to remain submerged much longer than planned. Unable to free herself immediately, she actually began to struggle in desperation, and for moments the risk of drowning was real. What seemed like acting was in fact a genuine fight for survival, visible in the recorded footage. Only after the crew intervened did she manage to escape, shaken by the scare of almost losing her life on camera. Twilight Zone, the movie, was planned as a modern adaptation of the classic television series and brought together big Hollywood names. Among the segments was a scene set in the Vietnam War, starring actor Vic Morrow, alongside children Mika Dinley, 7 years old, and Renee Shin-Yi Chen, 6 years old. The sequence showed the desperate escape from a burning village while a helicopter flew at low altitude and explosions detonated on set. During the shoot, Vic Morrow carried the children in his arms when pyrotechnic effects exploded too close to the aircraft. The helicopter lost stability and quickly descended onto the site. The impact was fatal for the actor and the two children, turning the scene into one of the most shocking episodes ever recorded behind the scenes of filmmaking. The tragedy was widely publicized and raised immediate questions about the safety procedures adopted in production. The incident gained great international repercussion and became a turning point in the film industry. From it, new regulations emerged for the work of minors on film sets, especially in night scenes and those involving physical risks. Stricter standards were also created for the use of special effects, forcing studios to implement more detailed safety protocols. The episode remained as a permanent warning about the limits of the pursuit of realism in cinema. The families of the children went through a period of great mourning, and images of relatives at funerals spread worldwide, symbolizing the pain and indignation caused by the accident. In 1986, director John Landis and 4 production members were taken to trial accused of negligence. The defense argued that the accident was unpredictable. Vin Diesel became famous for characters that pushed limits in daring scenes, but in XXX, part of that adrenaline was carried out by Harry L. O'Connor, his stunt double. A former Navy SEAL, he was accustomed to real high-risk missions and was chosen for the most dangerous sequences of the film. One of them required a paraglider jump over the Pulaski Bridge in Prague, a highly complex maneuver that needed absolute precision to succeed. O'Connor never had the chance to complete the jump. He lost control and violently collided with the bridge in front of the cameras that were capturing everything in real time. The crew watched horrified at what would be his last flight, a moment where fiction and death merged. Director Rob Cohen decided to include part of the scene in the film, cutting it before the impact. Thus, the audience saw not just an action stunt, but the grim record of a real sacrifice, immortalized on screen. The movie Roar, released in 1981 by Noel Marshall, became known as the most dangerous production in cinema history. The film was shot on a property in California and brought together dozens of lions, tigers, and other untrained felines. The plot showed a family living with the animals, but off-camera, the reality was marked by constant attacks that put the lives of the actors and the entire crew at risk. During filming, it is estimated that more than 70 members of the technical team and cast were attacked by the felines. Noel Marshall himself was bitten several times, but insisted on continuing filming. The idea was to give absolute realism to the scenes, without using stunt doubles to face the animals. The result was numerous hospitalizations, deep cuts, broken bones, and accident reports that marked the production as an extreme experience. Among the recorded attacks, There are images of Noel Marshall being knocked down and bitten by several lions at once while other actors tried to escape. Melanie Griffith, daughter of Tippi Hedren, also took part in the cast and suffered serious injuries that nearly disfigured her. The decision to use animals without proper training turned each scene into a high-risk situation, with the constant tension that an attack could happen at any moment. The Passion of the Christ by Mel Gibson became a milestone in cinema in 2004, famous for its intensity and realism. Jim Caviezel took on the role of Jesus, which became the most defining of his career, but the dedication required by the film took a heavy toll. In the scenes carrying the heavy cross, the actor dislocated his shoulder for real, in addition to suffering hypothermia during long hours of filming. Despite the suffering, his performance earned international acclaim for its visceral dedication. The filming put Caviezel in extreme situations. He was struck by lightning not once but twice, and also contracted pneumonia during outdoor scenes in intense cold. Each take required physical and mental endurance, and even crew members such as assistant director Jan Michelini were struck by lightning. Although Caviezel admitted the process was brutal and full of risks, he declared that all the sacrifice was worth it for the intensity and impact of the final work. Viggo Mortensen fully embodied his role as Aragorn in The Lord of the Rings, even injuring himself seriously on set. During one of the most emotional scenes, he kicked an orc helmet in a fit of despair and ended up breaking 2 toes. The real pain was so strong that the scream he gave on camera did not require acting. Peter Jackson liked the results so much that he decided to keep the take in the film, turning an accident into one of the trilogy's most iconic scenes. Mortensen's commitment did not stop there. On another occasion, during an intense fight, he was hit so hard that he chipped one of his front teeth. Not wanting to interrupt filming, he suggested to the director an improvised solution, temporarily gluing the broken tooth to continue shooting. The actor's extreme professionalism impressed the entire crew, cementing Mortensen's reputation as someone willing to sacrifice his own body to bring authenticity to the character. Margaret Hamilton shone as the Wicked Witch of the West in The Wizard of Oz, a role that cemented her place in cinema. Covered in green makeup and wearing the iconic pointed hat, she terrorized Dorothy and the inhabitants of Oz while enchanting audiences with her performance. The filming, however, was far from mere fantasy. Many scenes required pyrotechnics and risky tricks to bring the character's magic to life. It was during one of these sequences, surrounded by explosives and stage smoke, that illusion turned into nightmare. Hamilton suffered second- and third-degree burns on her face and hands, forcing her to leave the set for weeks of recovery. When she returned, she refused to participate in new fire scenes, passing the responsibility to stuntwoman Betty Danko. Fate, however, was also cruel to her. Danko was injured in an explosion during filming and had to leave the project for good. Thai actor Meter Chaibancha was one of the biggest stars in his country and became known for the role of the masked hero Insi Dayeng, known as Red Eagle. In 1970, during the filming of Insi Thong, he had to perform a final scene in which his character climbed a rope ladder hanging from a helicopter. The sequence required courage and skill, but Meter decided to perform it without stunt doubles, maintaining the realism that defined his performances. During filming, Meter managed to hold only the last rung of the ladder, and when the helicopter gained altitude, he could not keep his grip and fell to the ground. The moment was recorded by the cameras and was initially shown in the final cut of the film. Years later, the accident was replaced by an explanatory message in DVD releases, stating that Meter Chaibancha died on October 8, 1970, at 4:21 p.m., while filming the scene that would mark the end of his career and his life. During the filming of For Your Eyes Only in 1981, the James Bond production decided to include a high-speed bobsled chase in the Italian Alps, with stunt doubles responsible for carrying out the dangerous sequence. The four-man sled went down a narrow, winding track that required enormous precision from the pilots. In one take, the vehicle lost control, went off the track, and hit a tree. Among those involved was Paolo Rigon, a young Italian stuntman who did not survive the impact, becoming one of the most remembered victims of the Ujo 7 franchise and reinforcing the risks faced by stunt doubles in pursuit of realism in cinema. Gabriella Sedillo was 26 years old when she suffered a serious accident during the filming of Transformers 3 in 2010 in Indiana. While driving in an action scene, a steel cable snapped and went through the windshield of her car, striking her head forcefully. The impact caused a permanent brain injury that left irreversible damage. The case was recorded as one of the most serious accidents in Hollywood productions of that decade. Gabriella Sedillo was taken to the hospital in critical condition after the onset accident. The investigation revealed that the metal tip of the cable, when it broke loose, pierced the vehicle at high speed and caused severe injuries. The film studios were reluctant to cover the young woman's medical expenses, but years later, she received a settlement of $18.5 million. The amount reflected the seriousness of the incident and the permanent consequences for her health. In The Sword and the Sorcerer, Richard Mall played the sorcerer Zuzia, an ally of the tyrant Cromwell. After helping him win a battle, the magician began to be seen as a threat, and the script required a betrayal scene. The moment was to be filmed on a rocky cliff with smoke and fire from special effects. To perform the 79-foot fall that represented Zuzia's downfall, the actor was replaced by stuntman Jack Tyree, made up in the same monstrous costume. In the sequence, Cromwell strikes Zuzia with a sword and then pushes him off the cliff amid flames. Tyree performed the fall but missed the mark by just 2 feet and did not land on the safety bag, resulting in a fatal impact. The scene, already captured on camera, ended up being kept in the final cut of the film, becoming part of the narrative. The production dedicated the work to the memory of the stuntman. The movie Syriana, released in 2005, marked George Clooney's career and earned him the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. To play his role, the actor gave himself intensely to filming and even performed risky scenes that changed his life. During the recording of one of the most tense sequences, Clooney suffered an accident that resulted in a serious spinal injury. The episode caused intense pain and turned the set into a challenge beyond acting. The accident happened during the torture scene in which Clooney, tied to a chair, was violently thrown to the floor. On impact, the chair flipped and his head hit hard, causing his spine to suffer a severe injury. The actor lost consciousness and remained in constant pain for days, believing he would never recover. Although he returned to filming and won the award for the role, the after effects of that moment followed him for life. In 2003, Uma Thurman was chosen by Quentin Tarantino to star in Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2, two of the director's most popular films. The iconic yellow outfit worn by the actress was inspired by Bruce Lee's costume in Game of Death. The fight scenes required months of intensive martial arts training, with complex choreography that Thurman herself performed without stunt doubles in most sequences, reinforcing her total dedication to the role of the bride. During the filming of Kill Bill Volume 2, Uma Thurman suffered a serious accident while driving a car at high speed on a dirt road. The vehicle lost control and crashed, leaving her with neck and knee injuries that lasted for years. The actress later revealed that she did not want to drive the scene, but was convinced by the director. The accident footage was only released years later, becoming a striking record of the risks faced behind the scenes. Audiences truly felt the impact of one of Jackie Chan's most painful stunts in the classic Police Story from 1985. The scene shows Chan being thrown by two villains over a railing, crashing through a glass canopy and hitting the shopping mall floor violently. Without any mat or protection, the sequence is brutal, even by the standards of action films at the time, and was marked by the authenticity of the real suffering involved. The entire movie was a marathon of injuries, but nothing compares to the climax. Chan jumps from a balcony, grabs a pole covered with electric lights, and slides down to the ground amid glass shards and sparks. The impact caused him electric shocks, burns, a broken finger, fractured ribs and vertebrae, and even a pelvic fracture. He almost could not get up after the take, but somehow walked away, in one of the most extreme examples of his dedication. Titanic marked the careers of Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet. But behind the glamour, there were moments of great risk. Winslet went through dangerous situations during filming, even suffering hypothermia during the long, cold water scenes. In one of them, the costume failed, trapping her underwater and nearly causing her drowning. The set, which was supposed to simulate the shipwreck realistically, became one of the most challenging of the time. The difficulties did not stop there. Winslet fell on deck during another scene and broke a bone in her elbow, but continued working despite the pain. The incidents also affected other crew members who were injured during the shipwreck sequences. To make matters worse, on the last night of filming, dozens of crew members were hospitalized after a mass food poisoning episode, which many believed was caused by contaminated food served on set. In the movie Friday the 13th, released in 1980 and filmed in New Jersey, Harry Crosby played Bill in scenes that became symbols of horror. During filming, the actor suffered a serious accident that left him temporarily blind for months. The production, known for bringing together young people in a fictional camp, gained worldwide fame, but was also marked by this risky backstage episode, revealing the hidden dangers of filming at the time. For Bill's death scene, makeup artist Tom Savini created fake blood with PhotoFlow, a photographic substance used without knowledge of its risks. During the shoot, the liquid ran into Crosby's eyes, causing intense pain and temporary vision loss. A latex prosthetic helped create the effect, but made the process even more dangerous. The accident was recorded as one of the most notable episodes of the production, remembered as an example of the dangers of practical effects of the time. Jo R.R.S.J. Harris made history as the first African-American professional female motorcycle racer, and in 2017, she was hired for her first stunt job in Deadpool 2. She doubled for Domino, played by Zazie Beetz, and had the mission of performing a high-speed maneuver in Vancouver. The character's requirement was that she be without a helmet, reinforcing the realism of the scene, but also dangerously increasing the risk of the sequence. During filming, Harris lost control of the motorcycle and crashed into a glass window of the Shaw Tower, an impact that killed her instantly. Cameras and bystanders recorded the accident, which quickly became public and disturbing. Later investigations concluded that she might have survived had she been wearing a helmet, but the choice not to use it to maintain the character's visual fidelity resulted in an irreversible tragedy. Stuntman A.J. Bakunis rose to prominence in Hollywood by performing high-fall scenes, substituting for actors in dangerous sequences. He worked as George Kennedy's double during filming in Lexington, Kentucky at the Kincaid Towers. There, Bakunis successfully completed a fall from the 9th floor of the construction site, landing on a large safety airbag, and the feat was widely praised by the crew on set. Shortly afterward, Bakunis discovered that another stuntman, Dar Robinson, had broken his record with a promotional fall. Determined to reclaim the title, he agreed to repeat the scene, this time jumping from about 91 feet from the top of the building under construction. The fall was executed precisely, but the safety airbag did not withstand the impact and burst. The accident marked the tragic end of his career, establishing him as one of the most remembered daredevil stuntmen in cinema history. The movie, The Skyway Man, produced by Fox Film, featured pilots Ormer Locklear and Milton Elliott, who were famous for performing risky aerial stunts. Locklear, known as a wing walker, had already impressed the public by performing acrobatics on aircraft fuselages and brought this talent to the screen. During filming, the duo was responsible for spectacular scenes that combined dramatization with real flight demonstrations, drawing great attention at the time. During a nighttime shoot at the DeMille Airfield in Los Angeles, the plane piloted by Locklear and Elliott lost control and crashed, resulting in the immediate death of both pilots. The accident occurred in front of a large production team following the maneuvers. The film was eventually completed, but with significant cuts, and is now considered lost. The episode was marked as one of the most tragic accidents of the silent film era, exposing the dangers of real stunts performed without safety resources. Grace McHugh starred in the silent film Across the Border, shot in Cannon City, Colorado, in 1914. During a scene, her character was supposed to cross the Arkansas River in a boat, but the vessel unexpectedly capsized. Cameraman Owen Carter, who was filming the sequence, immediately jumped into the water to try to save the actress. Together, they were carried by the current to a sandbank that seemed safe, but hid a great danger. The sandbank where Grace McHugh and Owen Carter sought refuge turned out to be quicksand. Unable to escape, both were swallowed and drowned in front of the film crew, who could do nothing. Carter's sacrifice, who risked his life to save his colleague, was recognized years later when he posthumously received the Carnegie Hero Award. The accident marked the production as one of the first tragedies recorded on film sets. Brandon Lee, son of legend Bruce Lee, was starring in The Crow when a tragedy changed the course of the film. In a shooting scene, he was supposed to be hit by a .44 Magnum, loaded only with blanks. However, a real projectile had been stuck in the gun cylinder after a previous preparation error. When the shot was fired, the bullet was ejected lethally, turning what was supposed to be a choreographed moment into a real catastrophe in front of the crew. After the shot, Brandon was taken to the hospital but did not survive. His death during filming generated enormous commotion, especially because it resembled his father's early death. Despite the tragedy, the production was completed with stunt doubles and digital effects, immortalizing his final performance. Buried next to Bruce Lee in Seattle, the actor became a cult icon, with The Crow remembered not only for its dark atmosphere, but also for the tragic fate of its protagonist. John Bernecker was an experienced stuntman, known for his work in major productions when he was cast in The Walking Dead. In rehearsals for a fight scene with Austin Emilio, who played Dwight, the script called for him to be thrown from a balcony 23 feet high, falling onto a safety mat placed on the ground. For Bernecker, accustomed to dangerous acrobatics, it was another precision challenge in his career. But at the moment of execution, the choreography went wrong. During the rehearsed fight, Bernecker was pushed back and fell faster than expected, losing precision. The scene required him to land on a safety cushion placed on the ground, but the stuntman hit the concrete head first, just a few inches from the target. The Bernecker family filed a lawsuit against the series production, accusing AMC of negligence. The case ended in a settlement. Halyna Hutchins, a 42-year-old cinematographer, was considered one of the great promises of independent cinema and was working on the set of Rust in October 2021. During a rehearsal inside the church set, Alec Baldwin received a gun that everyone believed was unloaded. Hutchins, wearing a white cap, stood with her back to the camera, directing the scene, not imagining that moments later she would be killed. The shot happened unexpectedly. The real ammunition, handed over by mistake, struck Hutchins in the chest and also wounded director Joel Souza in the shoulder. Hutchins did not survive, turning the set into a scene of horror. Baldwin rushed outside the church, seen bent over and in tears. Subsequent investigations revealed serious failures in the handling of firearms, oversights that shocked Hollywood and raised questions about safety in filming with weapons. In the movie American Made, Tom Cruise played Barry Seal, a pilot recruited by the CIA, but fiction was marked by a tragedy behind the scenes. Two professional pilots, Alan Purwin and Carlos Burrell, were in Colombia performing flights for filming when they lost their lives in a plane crash. Experienced in risky flights, they faced difficult conditions in the jungle, where the production sought absolute realism in every scene. Inside the aircraft was also Jimmy Lee Garland, who survived. The flight was passing through a mountainous and unstable region when the small Piper Aerostar lost control and crashed. The wreckage was scattered in the vegetation, revealing the force of the impact. The pilot was already known in Hollywood for flying in films such as Transformers and Pearl Harbor, and his death was an irreparable loss to the industry. The accident was investigated for production logistics failures, raising criticism about the rush of filming and the pressure for more realistic scenes. The fire started suddenly on the set of Motherless Brooklyn in March 2018, when the Harlem building used for filming was overtaken by smoke and intense flames. The fire broke out in the basement and quickly spread through the floors, turning the production into a scene of desperation. The FDNY was called, and dozens of firefighters went into action, among them Michael Davidson, 37 years old, a respected veteran with 15 years in the department. Davidson advanced through the collapsing interior, surrounded by suffocating smoke and deadly heat, until he disappeared into the flames. Outside, Edward Norton watched in shock as the building used as a set was consumed. The tragedy paralyzed filming and left deep marks on the crew. The fire not only destroyed part of the movie, but also became remembered as the night a hero lost his life inside the burning heart of New York. Stuntman Kun Liu was in charge of one of the most explosive sequences of The Expendables 2, filmed in October 2011 at the Onyanova Dam near Sofia. Inside a rubber boat, he was supposed to face a choreography of fire and destruction, carefully calculated. But when the explosives were triggered, something went wrong. The vessel was directly hit. Rescue teams arrived quickly, but Liu did not survive, and his death was recorded on set in front of everyone. Actor Eric Fleming, known for the series Rawhide, traveled to Peru in 1966 to star in the film High Jungle. The production depicted adventures in the Amazon rainforest and required scenes in natural and challenging environments. In the final stages of filming, Fleming took part in a sequence on the Huallaga River, using a canoe to cross the turbulent waters. Beside him was fellow actor Nico Minardos, who was also part of the cast. During filming, the canoe lost balance and capsized in the middle of the current. Nico Minardos managed to swim to shore and save himself, but Eric Fleming was carried away by the force of the river and could not return safely. The team tried to act quickly, but nothing could be done. The accident tragically ended the shoot and left the film unfinished, becoming one of the most remembered episodes of dangerous sets in international cinema. Art Scholl, a renowned aerobatic pilot, made history in cinema as he was responsible for the aerial scenes of Top Gun. Known for his skill in turning the sky into a spectacle, Scholl used a modified Pitts S2 as a camera plane to capture daring and realistic maneuvers. He was already a world reference in aerobatics, and his participation in the film promised unique images, combining precise technique with the excitement that defined the production style. During a shoot over the ocean, Scholl executed a planned maneuver when he reported over the radio that he was experiencing a serious problem. Seconds later, his plane lost control and plunged into the sea near the California coast. Neither the pilot's body nor the aircraft were recovered, leaving the accident a mystery to this day. The tragedy deeply marked the production, which dedicated Top Gun to his memory, immortalizing Scholl as an essential part of the work. The silent film The Captive, directed by Cecil B. DeMille, featured a scene where soldiers needed to break down a locked door. To make it realistic, the extras fired live ammunition at the wood until it was destroyed. Then the director ordered the guns to be reloaded only with blanks, since the door was already broken. However, in the rush of filming, a mistake caused one of the rifles to remain loaded with live rounds. During the next take, the shot from one of these weapons struck extra Charles Chandler, who did not survive the injury. The accident became one of the first fatal cases recorded behind the scenes, exposing the lack of safety measures in the early days of the film industry. The episode was remembered as a warning about the importance of strict control in the use of weapons on sets, a rule that was only reinforced many years later. Stuntman Joseph Leonard Svec lost his life during the filming of The Right Stuff, 1983, when he performed a parachute jump to recreate pilot Chuck Yeager's accident in an NF-104 jet. Wearing the silver suit and helmet, he was supposed to stage the ejection from the burning cockpit and descend safely. However, the parachute failed to open properly, and his death was captured on camera. The aircraft used in the scene did not explode in the air, but crashed along with him. In 2015, Harrison Ford returned to the role of Han Solo in Star Wars: The Force Awakens, more than 3 decades after his last appearance in the saga. During filming, the actor suffered a serious accident when a hydraulic door on the set crushed him, causing leg fractures and hand injuries that required surgeries. Despite a full recovery, the incident led the production company to receive a large fine for safety failures. Even so, Ford continued in the franchise until The Rise of Skywalker,